This is Vannevar Bush, and in 1940 he was the Dean of Engineering at MIT and the founder of Raytheon. This man created the institutional blueprint for the military-industrial complex. In 1940, he convinced Roosevelt to establish the National Defense Research Committee. This model embedded massive amounts of state funding through civilian universities under heavy secrecy protocols into the war industry. He oversaw the Manhattan Project. At its peak, he had a staff of 4,000 people designing nuclear weapons. One of those people was John Trump, who worked on radiation technology at MIT's Radiation Laboratory. The MIT Lincoln Laboratory is a Department of Defense funded. Current contracts total over $12 billion a year, and their focus is on space control, air and missile defense, communications, and cybersecurity. They boast about having the world's highest resolution long-range radar and have just received a 50-year lease on 64 acres at the Hanscom Air Force Base. These guys aren't just building gadgets. When people complain about their tax dollars going to fund Israel and don't think that MIT is a problem, despite everything that Epstein revealed. So when he convinced Roosevelt to set up these committees, they were wartime efforts. The president signed off on them because they needed to fight the war. But in 1945, he wrote Science, the Endless Frontier, and that made the military-industrial complex permanent. These Cold War research labs then morph into DARPA, and we arrive at what we see now, which is the MIT Pentagon Raytheon complex. He embedded the military into civilian science, and the military has used science done at MIT as reputational shielding for the atrocities of the American empire. It's their job to make all of this feel normal and acceptable to you. Chomsky joined MIT in 1955, and although he built a career critiquing US imperial power, he did so from a comfy chair embedded directly in the institution that designs the tools of power. From 1963, he worked directly for MITRE Corporation. This was an MIT spin-off serving the defense and intelligence agencies who wanted to develop language as operational control. His students have confirmed that he visited their labs and had a consultancy role at MITRE Corporation for decades. This is the structural contradiction of Chomsky. His critique was always confined to foreign policy. The MIT Linguistics and Philosophy departments, which Chomsky helped establish, provide intellectual cover for the institution's weapon research. MIT promotes itself through its high-profile public intellects. But the university's core function has always been dual-use technology research for the Pentagon. His mere presence legitimizes the institutions that he says he criticizes. The current MIT defense contracts are valued at over $12 billion a year, and the laboratory employs, quote, some of the nation's best technical talent to develop military equipment. What a waste of the best talent in America right now. His failure to address the institutional architecture around him that enables the imperial power that he critiques is selective framing. His critique of manufacturing consent in the media conveniently ignores how you manufacture legitimacy through the university. He analyzes the propaganda from his vantage point inhabiting the military-industrial complex itself. There are documented meetings between him and Epstein, and those meetings don't suggest the weird things. They suggest the obvious thing. Epstein's clients were often heavily invested in the military industrial complex. He donated himself to MIT. Why did he have access to people who might want to go on planes with young women? It's because he operated in this DARPA adjacent world. And that is the issue that nobody wants to talk about. MIT is a core node in this complex. Chomsky's career exemplifies the licensed critic function. His critique of US foreign policy reinforces rather than challenges the underlying power structures. The fact that he shows up on the Epstein list, regardless of what that means or can be proven, illuminates the broader structural reality of these power networks. Power does not operate simply through coercion. It requires legitimacy to hold it up. And MIT is a convergence point of the military, industrial, academic complex. Knowledge production for statecraft, state warcraft gets legitimized through this academic prestige. Why are people proud that America's best minds are working in the MIT Lincoln Laboratory? As the climate collapses around us, you have your best scientists working on making faster weapons, more surveillance, serving imperial interests. MIT's 80-year integration with the Pentagon shows you just how effectively academic institutions serve state power whilst maintaining their progressive facade.